We'd like to welcome you to our current event and weekly Bible study for November 29th, 2015. And just a lot of different current events we're going to be covering today. I just added this particular part in regarding all of the this upcoming summit with the global, quote, global warming and the implications that has for humanity. Now, before I get into that, just some recent, literally from the last day, I've put out, if you added up all the links to this over the years, probably hundreds of these links. These are just the ones in the last couple of days regarding the bogusness of this whole concept and how this is an absolute lying satanic agenda just being shoved down our throats. Ultimately, just to strip us of all liberties and to tax us into oblivion, which is really the goal, and to ultimately herd people into stack and pack cities that will not offend Mother Gaia and will leave a smaller carbon footprint. This is the excuses they're going to be using in order to implement these draconian global laws that are unfortunately coming. And again, as Christians, to pray about these things, to pray that if it be the Lord's will, that these satanic agendas be exposed and be defeated so that they can not come to fruition, because God can intervene. But this is a very important part of the New World Order and the whole coming one world government, one world religious system, one world economic. Because see, this is this concept of we all need to get on the same page. All the nations need to come together, and we need to have a united global world leader, which will be the Antichrist, in order to bring us to this point. And this is all staging for that. So this is an extremely important subject because this is literally like one of the main linchpin drivers for all of that agenda. So just reports from the last couple days. These are just different links to different reports you can click on, and I'm going to post it here in the PDF for today, which is going to be about 16, 17 pages, and for November 29, 2015. First report is Antarctic cooling has actually been cooling for the past 6 years. Okay, so there's one thing that flies. Now again, none of this is going to be emphasized at any of these bogus conferences where these devils all meet and try to decide the fate of humanity. All of this information will be ignored and suppressed because it doesn't fit with their narrative. The next report, new consensus, 97% of Americans aren't worried about global warming. So what they've got to do is create this unbelievable panic about a non-existent thing that's happening. It's actually the opposite that's happening. But 97% of Americans aren't even worried about it. Next report, state Democrats rise in opposition to Obama's climate change agenda. Well, I hope that continues, all of the legislature. But again, they're all in the kind of the same big satanic team, so I don't really see that playing out, unfortunately. Next one, world facing grave environmental crisis, Pope warns. So Pope's going to try to mobilize all of the, I don't know if you want to call them Catholics and pseudo-Christians on the planet, anywhere, and to let them know how great. And you have to just look at what side of the team are these satanic agents of hell on. Well, they're all firmly on the side of shoving this global warming down our throats. Okay, so that is all I need to know, that it is a lie and that it's a satanic agenda. That's all I really need to know. But then there's so much volume of truth regarding this, proving that it is a total lie. Next one, California freeze, 11 below zero in the Sierra Mountains amid snow and ice. I think that was some type of potential record there, 11 below zero. Decade-long ice age predicted as sun hibernates. So the exact opposite of what they're saying is actually what's going on. Another one, I believe the French President Hollande slammed scandalous Paris climate protest clashes. We're going to talk about that in a second. And then temperature data fiddling is the biggest science scandal ever. These are all separate reports you can click on. If you're not up to speed on the subject and you need proof that this is an absolute total scam and a satanic agenda, absolutely total lie, these are just some of the information out there. As was reported in late October, the U.S. government placed illegal gag orders on the National Weather Service, NOAA, and the U.S. Department of Commerce, exposed by Dane Wigington at Geoengineering Watch. So they're putting gag orders on all of the major National Weather Service agencies. So they keep their mouths shut so that they go along with the false lying narrative. The power structure is beginning to panic as the public wakes up to the criminal climate engineering insanity. The growing police state is completely out of control and becoming unimaginably blatant with their actions. Bill Hopkins, the executive vice president for National Weather Service Employees Organization, said this, quote, "As a taxpayer, I find it highly disturbing that a government agency continues to push gag orders to hide how they operate. This is the work of the American government, owned by the American public, and should be open to the American public." But unfortunately, it's the exact opposite. Then we have the main report right now at Drudge, which is a report entitled "World Leaders Gather to, quote, save the world." Almost 150 heads of state, including David Cameron, Barack Obama, and Indian Prime Minister Modi, are heading to Paris for the start of the most important environmental meeting for decades. Ahead of the summit, more than 175 countries have postponed pledges known as intended national determined contributions to cut their carbon emissions, which, if enacted, would be enough to limit global warming. This is what they're saying it would be, even though we're undergoing essentially global cooling right now, would be enough to limit global warming to 2.7 degrees centigrade, Celsius, I'm sorry. But the United Nations has pledged to limit climate change to 2 degrees Celsius, but it would much prefer 1.5. So in other words, the less warming they're going to permit, the more aggressive we would have to be, even though that's not even happening, because they've cooked the books and they've been doing it from the beginning. This means that there's much work to be done in Paris. And then this report appeared right in conjunction with it, which is a report entitled "Paris Climate Change Activists Placed Under House Arrest." So see, you can't even, this is the state we're finding ourselves in, where you can't even protest their satanic agenda. You're going to be put under house arrest, eventually be execution, or imprisonment and then execution. 24 climate change activists, meaning protesters, have been put under house arrest by the French police. They unfortunately they didn't want to do this with the ISIS Muslim terrorists that they let into their country, that killed over 100 people last week, who they knew about way ahead of time. Okay, that's all been proven. And no, but they don't want to keep an eye on them. Just let them go out and wholesale slaughter. Why? Because that helps their agenda. And we talked about that a lot last week. So at least 24 climate change activists have been put under house arrest by French police. They are accused of defying a ban on organizing protests. So now they've got bans on organizing protests during next week's 2015 UN Climate Change Conference in Paris. The next report is entitled "Silencing Truth in America and Across the World." It is not just alternative media they're trying to silence. They're trying to silence the truth itself. And this, unfortunately, is going to be becoming more and more the norm. And this is why ministries like this it's just a matter of time. I kind of feel like I'm living on borrowed time every day that a ministry like this even is able to continue. Not just me, but there's a lot of other ones out there. But yeah, it's just, let's face it, the days are numbered here. When they really fully go headlong, when we go under martial law, when things really get bad, and then they suspend the Constitution and everything that gives us any type of liberty in any way, shape, or form, and as the internet police and the global governance takes over the internet more and more, when all that ends up going down, any type of truth outlet is going to be eliminated most likely overnight or in a very short period of time. And then they'll just have, and this is why it's so important to get educated now. Because if you take for granted the window of opportunity you have now to get educated, you're probably not going to have that same window in the future. You're not going to even have access to truth. All you're going to have access to is brainwashing lies and Orwellian doublespeak. It's going to be George Orwell's 1984 live in Technicolor 24/7. So very important to get educated on these matters now so that you have some type of knowledge base going into the brave new world that's coming. Now, the Lord Jesus Christ is bigger than all of it. I've obviously firmly, truly believe that. But remember, the Bible says in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 that for this cause God shall send them strong delusion, that they will believe a lie, that they might all be damned who receive not what? The love of the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. So having a love for the truth, yes, the Lord Jesus Christ dying on the cross, death, burial, and resurrection to save our souls, that is the main truth, okay, that we need to embrace. But there's a lot of other truth out there as well. A lot of other ways that we're being deceived, that we are being destroyed for lack of knowledge, that Satan is getting an advantage of us, and that we're not to be ignorant of his devices. So it's important to be a lover of truth regarding truth itself. This report goes on to say American journalists are censored, threatened on college campuses, and images pertaining to cry bullies are blocked from Facebook, while reporters in Turkey are arrested and lawyers are assassinated, and the French alternative news websites are being shut down, and green activists are being placed under house arrest. Well, green, I mean climate change, whatever. In Canada, a man who has worked tirelessly and relentlessly to expose the damage done by Fukushima nuclear reactor meltdowns and the subsequent cover-up of said damage was arrested, then gagged, and had his video evidence deleted by YouTube. I talked about him recently. While Facebook censorship against conservatives continues unabated. From one end of the globe to the other, physically and virtually on the internet, truth is being silenced. And again, that's why this ministry is called Contending for Truth. Because it is a war on truth. That is every day. You open up the paper, whatever, media, print, radio, it is a war on truth. This is what we're faced with. Okay, so I just rechecked this, and yes, these are literal climate activists, not protesters. No, these people, which doesn't really make sense to me that much. Granted, it's their right to protest, but the reality is this is their agenda. You know, this is their baby. All these devils trying to push this. Okay, but I guess what they were saying is amid security concerns they had to put these people. But still, in France right now, they're organizing. This is the front page thing on Communist News Network, CNN. And it's entitled "The Shoes Are Marching for Us," and it's all these people that have taken off their shoes, and evidently, symbolically, their shoes are magically marching on their behalf, evidently. And they're demanding, they've bought into the whole global warming thing, hook, line, and sinker. Now, I'm not saying that some of the other things that they're protesting, like fossil fuels, I mean, obviously, we've got the technology where we wouldn't need to do that. We have, free energy, whatever you want to call it, all types of technology that have been suppressed. I've gotten into this many, many times. And, people that have invented, waters that can, or engines that can run on water, or engines that can run on this or that. And all of this technology has been suppressed on purpose to preserve the, of course I'm not going to call it fossil fuel because it's not even that. That's a whole other scam, and just look up abiotic oil, okay? If you want to debunk the whole finite fossil fuel thing, abiotic oil, that it's being replenished in the earth. It's actually a byproduct of some process in the earth. Anyway, I did a study on that, I don't know, probably in the last couple years. So that's a scam too. It's like every time you turn, it's just another lie they're trying to shove down your throat. And yes, there's a lot of things that we should not be doing. The whole nuclear power. I mean, my word, look at what's happened with Fukushima. Can you imagine if that took place spontaneously all over the earth with all of the nuclear power plants, or even like 2% of them? The world could literally be an uninhabitable wasteland, with something like that happening on a mass scale. So, from that standpoint, I would agree with, yes, we should try to transition over to renewable, or let's say free energy devices, things of this nature. And again, they have the technology, they've suppressed it, they've killed off the people that are the inventors that keep inventing things, or they buy them off. That's the standard operating procedure. That's what they do every single time. So from that standpoint, I get what they're doing. But the whole thing about them thinking that this global warming is going to kill us all, they've absolutely bought into the whole thing, hook, line, and sinker. And these people are there by the thousands demanding that they have their rights taken away from them. Because this is what's going to happen as a result of the decisions that will be made at these climate change conventions. So, it's just madness, total insanity, the brainwashed zombie masses everywhere you turn. And they're literally demanding their own destruction, because this is what this will result in if they end up fully implementing all of the things they would like to do. What are they going to have to do? Well, they're going to have to go by the 10 Commandments of the New World Order. And the first commandment of that New World Order, in order to not grieve Mother Gaia, in order to not to create a much smaller carbon footprint, is to reduce world population by 500 to 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. That's the end of that first commandment of the Georgia Guidestones. In perpetual balance with nature, or Mother Gaia, so as not to grieve Mother Gaia, Mother Earth. When these people show up and they're demanding, screaming out, they're literally begging for their own destruction. And this is why I call it total insanity when I see these people out there doing this. Anyway, next report: Paris attack expected to make climate deal more likely. Disproven anthropogenic climate change theory is now supposedly the main driver of ISIS. So yes, climate change is the reason ISIS exists now. The UN is pulling out all the stops. The 2009 conference held in Copenhagen came close to codifying the warmist agenda, but it failed. Remember, there was all of these nations that had tabled or postponed global, or let's say for their respective countries, to reduce their own, I don't know, I guess it'd be carbon emissions at this point. Let me just read that part again. "150 heads of state, including David Cameron, Barack Obama, and Indian Prime Minister, are headed to Paris for the start of the most important environmental meeting in decades. Ahead of the summit, more than 175 countries have postponed pledges known as Intended National Determined Contributions, or INDCs, to cut their carbon emissions, which, if enacted, would limit global warming to 2.7 Celsius. So see, now we're all on the same page globally. All the nations are collectively responsible. And the ones that are the most responsible, obviously, are the ones putting out the biggest carbon footprint and the most carbon emissions. Even though that's what plants actually have to have in order to live. Carbon dioxide. Okay? CO2. That's what they have to have. But we have to reduce that. We have to reduce that. It's just total lies and insanity everywhere you turn with this. So going further, The BBC reports, while many leaders, including President Obama and the President of China, were always set to attend this conference, the recent violent attacks in Paris have encouraged others to come in an expression of solidarity with the French people. This is total insanity. Unlike at Copenhagen, the French organizers are bringing the leaders in at the start of the conference rather than waiting for them to come in at the end, a tactic which failed spectacularly at the Danish capital. Delegates are in little doubt that the shadow cast over the city by the attacks will enhance the chances of the agreement. This is why they did it. They had full knowledge of it ahead of time. They knew this. They knew the perpetrators. I read things up there where they're actually working in concert, where they actually killed people after. There was one report up there of a girl that had been at that, Demons of Death rock concert or whatever. And literally it happened. She walked out with her boyfriend. Her mother or her family was in Mexico. She called them to let them know that she was fine. The shooting had already happened. Okay. And then she gets the same family gets a call from her parents hours later saying she and her boyfriend are dead. I guess they hadn't got enough body count yet. I mean, this is after the shooting was done, over, finished. Then they turn up dead. Well, they needed to have a bigger body count, evidently. Somebody had to make that happen. So, again, whenever you have mass shootings like this, there's always some typical well-coordinated effort behind the scenes in order to make it happen. Obviously, they're letting the Syrians and ISIS and all of these Muslim terrorists in on purpose. You look at the fruit of what they're producing. They're doing it on purpose. The West helped create ISIS to a large extent. We've gotten into that over and over again. So all of this is just literally order out of chaos. They're bringing about their new world order out of the chaos they're creating and predetermining ahead of time. According to Tom Burke, former UK government advisor on climate change and now chairman of the environmental think tank E3G, the leaders will insist climate change spawns terrorism. Yeah, climate change is now the driver of all terrorism. It's the total. So see, now we have this gigantic, huge crisis they've created on purpose. Open borders, let them flood in, arm them, equip them, protect them, like they've been doing, like America, and they're supporting. I mean, Turkey's buying their oil, their oil they're stealing, arming them, equipping them, all of this stuff. I've gotten into this over and over again. They're creating all of this. And then they open up the borders and let them flood in. So they're literally saying now that I believe they're going to just blame probably all Muslim terrorism now on this. So now, if you believe that line of absolute asinine, brain-dead thinking into your head, if you buy into that, I'm not saying my listeners, I'm just saying people in general, and they'll buy it hook, line, and sinker. These people outside that are activists, and they're doing this all over the earth, I guess. If you buy into that, well, then what do you have to do? Well, you've got to go after this climate change more than any other thing, because that'll stop all the terrorism from happening. I mean, look at the insanity. Those Muslim terrorists are just so enraged because we've got global warming happening, and that's driving this all, evidently. So people will give up their rights now even more so, because now they're thinking it's the main driver of terrorism. I mean, it's so asinine and so stupid and idiotic, that line of thinking, that I'm almost left speechless. But this is what they're doing. This is what they're saying. This E3G produced a report in 2013 that claimed that climate change and resource scarcity were the prime motivators for the Arab Spring, the Islamic Arab Spring uprisings. Obviously, terrorism in Syria has nothing to do with supposed climate change. That's called a satanic ideology of Islam. And then the West protecting them, giving them weapons, helping to create certain factions of them, not bombing them, or giving them heads up before they supposedly do it. That's going on. Buying their oil. No, it's climate change that caused all their satanic behavior. That's why the Muslims are you know, they have their little boys called shy boys they rape, and in all of the satanic evil stuff, why they're beheading Christians and raping them. It's all climate change. What were any of us ever thinking? It's so obvious now. Has nothing to do with them being demon possessed to the toenails or their satanic ideology and the West equipping and enabling all of it. No, it has nothing to do with any of that. It's climate change. Because the Americans insist on driving their cars. Anybody who puts out carbon, they need to die. Well, then we all need to die because we exhale carbon dioxide. That's right, we all need to die. So Mother Gaia won't be grieved. That's the solution. This is where this insanity is all heading. This is how reduction to a 500 million population, if God lets it happen, I'm not saying he's going to, but this is how a lot of people would be absolutely indifferent to that. No compassion, no mercy, just apathy. They are not going to care one bit because they're going to be saying, well, somebody's got to go. And obviously the most liberal of the bunches and the most satanically possessed in the you know, the ones at the top of the food chain aren't going to have any problem with billions dying in order not grieve Mother Gaia, in order to decrease the carbon footprint, in order to take away all of our rights and move us into stack and back cities, because this is where this is all heading. The Syrian civil war was manufactured in the West to overthrow the government of Bashar al-Assad. Russia's thrown a monkey wrench into that because of their support, because of what they've been doing. The introduction of the foreign jihadists in the Islamic State by the United States, the Gulf of Emirates and Turkey has more to do with the instability, order out of chaos, than the great threat multiplier, as the Pentagon calls climate change. And again, all I'm doing is pointing out all of their lies. And it's like to have this ministry as a full-time job of just pointing out all of the, you know, in your face, so over the top lies that are constantly being churned out from the mainstream and the global media. So I'm just going to play, and again, I'm not endorsing Alex Jones here. This is only a 1:22 clip, but he brings up some good points regarding this one issue. And I'm just going to roll this for.
The war on humanity continues, shutting down our economy. First, it was freezing. Ice age is coming. We got to have world government to save us. Then it was global warming. Then it's climate change, period. Vladimir Putin has come out and said anthropogenic climate change is a geostrategic weapon. Kurt Nemo, Infowars.com. This needs to get out there big time.
It is a weapon. This is the absolute weapon that will strip us of basically, of I think it's the main weapon they're going to use to strip us of all of our rights. I think this is the main one.
Because Russia's breaking with the globalists on every front. They didn't go along with carbon taxes before and said they weren't sure it was real. Now they're saying, look, it's meant to shut down all major industrial economies not controlled by the IMF and World Bank. To have a major world leader who's made the world bipolar again, not unipolar in its power, to have Putin come out and say exactly what it is a devastating blow against the New World Order. This is cause for celebration. And Putin just went up another notch in my view. Because I don't trust him, and know what he was part of and all the rest of it. The point is, he's telling the truth. He says they want to break up our families. They want to destroy our cultures. They want to get rid of our sovereignty. They want to override us. They want to sabotage the human condition. This is a genetic takeover. I mean,
So, absolutely. So, regardless of what Putin's agenda is, what he's saying is truth. 100%. You know, and I'm not saying he's puritanical in his motivations by any stretch of the imagination. But that's what's going on. And this is the main thing they're going to use. Then we have this that just happened, and I could see this one coming a mile away. As soon as I saw the headline, I'm like, oh, here we go. Here we go. Planned Parenthood shooters not fitting the left stereotype. The shooter in Colorado. Robert Louis Deere registered to vote as a female. Obviously, and was previously charged as a Peeping Tom. Actually, because he was actually registered as a female, it's a Peeping Tina. Okay, not a Peeping Tom, so we need to get that straight. Sorry, just kidding. Anyway, throughout Friday's 6-hour armed standoff at the Colorado Planned Parenthood facility that left 3 dead and 9 wounded. But I wonder, it left 3 dead and 9 wounded. What about the other body count that day at that facility? How many babies did they slaughter in the womb? Because they need to add that to the body count. No, they should do it for the whole life of that abortuary. What is the body count of all of the innocent babies that have been slaughtered in the womb there? I mean, they're only given 3 dead and 9 wounded. That's not fair. What about all the babies that are dead as a result of what goes on there every single day? Social media feasted on the fact the gunman was described as a white man. Of course, as WorldNet Daily reported, it didn't take long for that meager piece of information to morph into he's also a Christian, and he's a pro-lifer, and a Republican. Even though authorities had not yet, or at that point, even released any information about the gunman's motive. I knew this is what they were going to try to push as soon as I saw this. Okay. So far, Robert Louis Deere, 57 years old, of Hartselle, Colorado, is disappointing those who tried to stereotype the pro-life Christians as terrorists. No evidence of Deere's involvement with pro-life groups has surfaced. Pro-life groups denounced the shooting and indicated they had neither interacted with nor ever even heard of him. Now, they give a link here. This is WorldNet Daily. And it says, read the tested and proven strategies to defeat the abortion cartel in Abortion Free, your manual for building a pro-life America one community at a time. So, if you're ever interested in anything like that, they have that. I think it's something that they sell there. Anyway, I'll give you a link to it. Going back to this, it says, as it turns out, Deere's not even a Republican. He's registered to vote in Park County, Colorado as an unaffiliated and as a female. So this guy's a total nut job. Okay? Not a Republican, registered to vote as a female. So that would mean that, what is he? Transgender? Oh, I don't know if we can't really attack him then, because transgenders are off limit. I mean, look at Bruce Jenner. Brucetta, or whatever his name is. Brucellosis. Caitlin, whatever. Can't attack him. No siree, Bob. Can't attract transgenders. They're the only things that matter in the universe. Make the females shower with them without any barriers. That's what we were just talking about. And if you don't like it, well, you just, I don't know. I mean, maybe suicide's a viable option because, you are not ready to go into the 1984 George Orwellian world that we say you will conform to. I just reported on that. Yeah, no separate shower facilities for the transgender devil boy that insists on having to shower with the girls. So if this guy's transgender, oh boy, that show throws a real monkey wrench into it. Because if it's wicked, if it's evil, we got to protect it. That's their motto. I'm looking at, it's a screenshot of information, this voter ID information about him. Her voting status. She is unaffiliated. Robert Louis Deere. Robert's a good female name, you know? Kind of a manly female name. She's just confused. Voter registration information posted by Gateway Pundit gives Deere's address and notes her voting address is active and she is unaffiliated. A criminal record check by Independent Journal revealed past arrests in South Carolina for cruelty to animals and for being a peeping Tom, and 2 traffic offenses, all more than 10 years ago. And the other people that said this said the guy was an absolute creep, very, very bad feeling, just always complaining about stuff. The guy's crazy, the way it looks. But what they really wanted was a pro-life white male going in there that was a registered Republican, registered. It would have been better if it was a pastor, I think, even. And I'm just saying, that's the main thing they demonize. White male men. I'm not being whatever. I'm just telling you a fact. If I was a black man reporting on this, that would be true. They are demonizing white men more than any other demographic by far. But me as a white guy, I can't say that, because that makes me a racist to even bring it up. It's not politically correct. My whole thing is that I don't really care where I see truth, but where I see it, I'm going to report on it, and I'm going to get it out there. So this guy doesn't fit their narrative. Then we have this report, Colorado Planned Parenthood shooting, 5 astonishing things the mainstream media isn't reporting on that everyone should know. In the aftermath of the Colorado Springs Planned Parenthood shooting, the mainstream media is predictably functioning as nothing more than the propaganda arm of the Obama administration. It's no surprise the Obama administration is already using the latest shooting tragedy at Planned Parenthood in Colorado to promote all the anti-gun agenda. In a statement released today, Obama scorned what he called the easy accessibility of weapons, the weapons of war in our streets. All the while admitting that the gunman's motive is still unknown. Then Obama tweeted, "This is not normal. We can't let it become normal." That was straight from the White House. Now, he said a lot more than that, but some responses below this tweet were this one guy, axe to grind. He says, "Obama, I'm still waiting on your thoughts about the pregnant pastor's wife being raped and brutally killed by blacks in the last couple weeks." Now, granted, this is just one story that's came out where the lady and her husband, pastor's wife, yes, both of them were white. They were in their house, or she was in the house. He had went to the church where they had. Black guys were there, roaming the neighborhood, broke into her house, raped her, killed her in front of her own children, blew her brains out, I'm pretty sure. And where's the outrage? Where's the outrage? Now, this kid in Chicago, the one they're all riding over, had a knife and was on PCP. Okay? He was probably doing what they call a dipper. It's very common now in a lot of the black inner city areas, and I'm not saying whites can't do this. I'm saying it's more common from what I've seen from my research that it's in black inner cities where they'll have guys go around and they have a little jar, okay, and it's this PCP liquid, and they'll take a certain kind of cigarette. It's a preferred type of cigarette, forget what it's called, and they dip it in there, and they give it to them. They sell it to them for 10, 15 bucks a pop. It's called a dipper. And PCP will make you go nuts. It will turn you into a savage. I mean, a lot of people strip their clothes off. They go crazy. They got to wear spit masks. I mean, it makes you clear raven lunatic. Black, white, or green, whatever your skin color, doesn't matter. Okay? And it's very prevalent, though. And it's a real cheap way to get really, really high, is what it boils down to. So, they're having all of these black mobs up there protest in Chicago, which has, you know, you have this basically gun-free zone, which where you create this environment where the only ones that have the guns are the criminals and the cops. And you wonder why it's such a killing field. And the solution is obviously just take away the guns from the law-abiding citizens, strip them of any rights they have, and create a massive gun-free zone where, again, the only ones that'll have the guns are the criminals and the cops. And then the criminals will be able to, knowing that nobody has guns, will be able to come in and wholesale kill anyone they want to kill. That's all it's going to create. If people were armed in that environment, you would see a massive drop in the killings overnight, because there would be a major pushback, and the criminals would think twice. And I'm not saying they're all black, but I'm saying criminals in general would think obviously twice about committing crimes and holding people up and murdering people and things of this nature. Because if they think they're going to get killed, obviously it's going to make them think twice. You don't believe that? Go to Kennesaw, Georgia, where everybody has to have a gun. Every household has to have a gun. It's an actual ordinance they have. And their crime and their murder and all of these other rates are next to zero. I've reported on this many times. But where you have gun-free zones, it's the exact opposite. Absolute killing field. So this particular gentleman, he says he's still waiting on Obama's thoughts about the pregnant pastor's wife being raped and brutally killed by blacks. Because he's been all over, you know, with this shooting of this black boy. He was like 11, I think, in Chicago. Had a knife with PCP in his system. Total outrage, total just gonzo nuts over that. Why aren't they in front of the Planned Parenthood clinics, which kill, statistically speaking, in the inner cities, over half the black population born? That's where the real killing's going on. Black lives do matter. You're right. So then why aren't you in front of the abortion clinics? Selective outrage. Hypocrisy is why. If that doesn't fit a person's narrative, regardless of skin color, typically they're going to ignore it. And the other guy comments, still nothing about Kate Stinley killed by an illegal alien either, because that doesn't fit the narrative. There was an illegal alien that killed somebody. Nothing said by Obama about that at all. Any Muslims that are killing people in this country, it's going to all be suppressed. Unless it fits their narrative, unless they can take away more of our rights. And then the one guy responds back, he says, it doesn't matter, they're all killed as a result of climate change. Ha ha. Yeah. That's what they're trying to get us to believe. Climate change is why all of this is happening now, obviously. The fact that gun exists and climate change. That's the reason. This is the insane world we find ourselves in. The last thing Americans should so this is Obama continuing with his comments about this. The last thing Americans should have to do over the holidays or any day is comfort the families of people killed by gun violence. Sure, I mean, yeah, just look at Chicago. Your former stomping ground. A statement from the president read, and then my comment is, yet Obama creates and promotes gun-free zones all across America where these killing zones can flourish, which is where these killings always end up happening, typically, in gun-free zones. I just like to point out that there's not everybody out there is going to buy this, and that there are people out there that are going to expose your fork-tongued lies, Obama. And I'm not the only one, obviously. But going further, he says, Obama, this is not normal. We can't let it become normal. It's normal in Chicago, though. Or New York City, or wherever they've been disarmed. It's totally normal. Why aren't you talking about that? Well, if it's a white cop shooting a black person, well, I'll talk about it all day long. If it's blacks killing blacks, which is the norm, which is the normal by their own statistics, it's not. Do you see that in the national news? You'll see it in local Chicago stuff. If it's a black killing a white person, you're not going to see that anywhere. Oh man, you're going to see maybe a local report. But if it's a white cop killing a black, preferably boy, because then there's more outrage because he's a youth. Oh, the world's going to end. Just hypocrisy everywhere you turn. Then he says, if we truly care about this, if we're going to offer up thoughts and prayers again, for God knows how many times. Oh, prayers to Satan, Obama? Yes, obviously that's who he meant, prayers to Satan. Okay. If we're going to offer prayers again for God knows how many times, with a truly clean conscience. Oh, you know a lot about a truly clean conscience, you fork-tongued devil. You would know a lot about that. You and Michael. All of the satanic atrocities that devil has committed. And he has the audacity to even mention the word clean conscience. Then he says, then we have to do something about the easy accessibility of weapons of war on our streets to people who have no business wielding them. Period. Enough is enough. They're coming for the guns. They're just going to let these things keep happening over and over and create a lot of them, or if not all, until they finally feel like they have enough public outrage to take the guns. This is where it's all heading. Everything is satanically agenda driven in this satanic world we find ourselves in. And ever increasingly. As it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the days of the coming of the Son of Man, Jesus Christ said. And as in the days of Lot. Well, that was a pretty lawless society. A pretty depraved, disgusting, evil. When you look at the days of Noah, or you look at the days of Lot. Pretty much bottom of the barrel. In addition to twisting the reporting on the story in an attempt to blame all gun owners for the actions of one lunatic, the media is deliberately censoring critical parts of the story in order to mislead the public. Some things you haven't been told by the mainstream media. Did you know the shooter self-identified as a female in his voter registration? We just got into that. Did you know the shooter was not active in any pro-life activities? Were you aware that in addition to butchering early and midterm babies in the womb without any mercy, I kind of added to that a little bit from what he had said, Planned Parenthood also commits violence every day against nearly born children, or late term, by killing them during partial birth abortions, which is where you partially deliver the baby into the birth canal and plunge a pair of scissors into the back of its head to basically kill him. And also, they harvest their organs. That also helps with partial birth, because if you're just plunging a pair of scissors into the back of their head, you're not interfering with all the organs in the chest cavity, so that they can be harvested so they can make their money. See, Planned Parenthood across the world commits, or any abortion clinic, commits more atrocities on a daily basis than any other entity on the planet, as far as I can see. And they have the audacity to act like they're performing all of these statements they've released. It's so nauseating, where we provide women with safe health care. Yeah, it's really safe for the baby you're slaughtering as well, right? Yeah, we provide them with, so they can rid their body of this inconvenience. Safe health care. Going further, it says, do you know which other country is famous for harvesting human organs for resale? Well, it's communist China. Also, most firearm owners do not support local law owners support local law enforcement and don't hate cops and wish to shoot at them. Did you know that you're more likely to be struck by lightning than killed in a mass shooting in America? Also, were you aware that gun control really means a gun monopoly in the hands of the government while disarming law-abiding citizens? Did you know there have already been 2,700 shootings this year in Chicago? One of the most tightly gun-controlled cities in America. See, that's the fruit of gun control. More mass shootings. Unfettered. Because the criminals don't like it when people shoot back. They're cowards. They want defenseless targets. Regardless of what their skin color is. 2,700 shootings this year in Chicago. But yet Obama only gets up when it fits his narrative and goes into all of this moral high ground, selective outrage, hypocrisy, browbeating the American populace. I'm just trying to hold my tongue. I'm just trying to hold my tongue. Next report, chaos on all levels as Islamic generated genocide hits America. Arming the enemy as Obama vows millions more refugees during his last year. With Barack Obama once again vowing to welcome millions of refugees as long as he is president, just as new warnings from Greece emerge, stating that it's nearly impossible to find jihadists among those refugees. We see the FBI taking threats against the WWE Survivor Series fake pro wrestling event in Atlanta on Sunday seriously. Not that one specific threat warning matters, with multiple targets on ISIS's hit list within the United States, but Obama's open door policy is looking more and more like a deliberate attempt to destroy America. 100%. This is all about destroying America. That's Obama's main goal by far. France remains on high alert. Brussels is reportedly on lockdown and has raised their national threat level, fearing a Paris-like attack based on quite precise information, with the risk of an attack like the one that happened in Paris, where several individuals with arms and explosive launched actions, perhaps several in several places at the same time. Continuing with this map showing how many states already have large enclaves of Muslim refugees within the United States. There's a link here to that map. And knowing the jihadists have infiltrated those fleeing Syria and other countries, as evidenced once again by more Syrians caught in Honduras with fake passports, it makes the interview shown below, highlighted by Zero Hedge, all the more important for everyone to see. When a conservative warns Barack Obama's Syrian policy is illegal, it is waved away as simple politics. When the alternative media websites warn that World War III is on the doorstep, and it might have already started, they are called conspiracy theorists. One has to wonder what those same critics think when a member of Obama's own party, a U.S. Congresswoman, takes the national stage and states outright that Obama administration and the CIA are conducting an illegal war against Bashar al-Assad in Syria and are arming the actual enemies of the United States, and are also asserts that Obama's illegal actions are setting us all up for a direct head-to-head conflict with Russia. It was our weapons that you know, the one weapon particularly that shot down the Russian helicopter. And then here's a picture of Obama. It says, "We don't have a strategy yet to combat ISIS because I haven't finished arming and funding them yet." So the House Democrat who had said all of this, this congresswoman against Obama, is Tulsi Gabbard, who joined the Republican Representative Austin Scott on Friday to introduce legislation to end the illegal war to overthrow Assad, as reported by the Associated Press. But the interview, which went largely ignored, occurred on CNN last month and is being highlighted on Zero Hedge as they point out that Gabbard fully grasps the big picture. Gabbard provides 10 reasons the U.S. must end its war to overthrow the Syrian government of Assad on her congressional website. And there's a link to that if you want to see that. And then we have, this just breaking today, 14,000 potential terrorists go missing. As reports come in, U.S. veterans are being disarmed. Map shows Islamic terror network in America. I mean, this is all just being absolutely totally set up. I mean, it's really obvious at this point what they're jockeying this whole situation into position in order to be implemented. It's just kind of a matter of time until they pull the trigger on it. Then the next report, Obama gives $5 million more to arm and train Syrian rebels. What could you do with just $1 million? So he gives them another $5 million to ISIS, essentially. I mean, this is the insanity. This is the satanic leadership that's at the head here. We also see reports being highlighted about the first majority Muslim city in America. Yes, there's a Muslim majority city now in America. Yeah. Here's a whole link to it. I put that link out in a recent newsletter I had as well. And how the vast majority of Americans now feel like a stranger in their own country. And now we have to wonder if Americans even realize we are following in the footsteps of Europe as we watch the Muslim endgame play out right before our eyes. Every person in America, especially those refusing to see what's happening, needs to watch the video entitled The Endgame, Genocide documentary, because what has already happened in Europe is happening in the United States right now, this very second, and it is only going to get worse as Obama vows to allow millions more refugees into our nation during his last year as president. Remember, he's got nothing more to, he's kind of like heading toward the finish line. He doesn't have to worry about getting reelected. Hey, if he can get martial law going, then he's going to be in there indefinitely. So it's not like he's got anybody to even play nice for anymore, and anything to where he might back off a little bit. This is this is only going to get worse as Obama vows to allow millions more refugees in our nation. As I've said before, and we'll say it again, Barack Obama is arming our own executioners and then bringing them into America. Yeah, 100%. 100%. So I'm going to end part 1 here, and we will go to part 2 next.
Scott Johnson's 1,000 plus audio teachings and PDF documents are available for free 24/7 on the internet at contendingfortruth.com. That's contendingfortruth.com. In addition, we also offer a free Christian current event and health email newsletter. You can sign up at contendingfortruth.com. These email newsletters typically only generate about 3 to 6 emails per month if you subscribe to both lists. Please prayerfully help us to continue this work. For mail correspondence or to support this ministry, our mailing address is Scott Johnson, 2359 Highway 70 Southeast, number 321, Hickory, NC 28602. Or on the internet, a PayPal donation link can be found at contendingfortruth.com. Thank you, and may the Lord Jesus Christ richly bless you.